Time for the only radio show of its kind. Auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, veterans of vintage. It's the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. For the next hour, enjoy great information about buying and selling antiques and collectibles, and some interesting stories. Now, the Donnelly Auctions Hour.
Welcome back to the Donnelly Auctions Hour. I'm Susan. I'm here with my wonderful co-host and partner, Randy Donnelly with Donnelly Auctions. We're in Union, Illinois, everyone. Welcome to our show on AM 560 every Saturday at 1 o'clock. What do you want to talk about today, Randy? I have an agenda here, but I'd like to hear what you want to start off with today.
People ask me all the time, where do you find this stuff? And there is no silver bullet or same way. We have an auction coming up, which is Old West and Native American.
It's on January 28th.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Oh, really? It's in January.
It's in January coming up.
Wow.
So it's in just a couple weeks.
Well, here's an interesting little story about how we got this collection. And that is, everybody out there who knows my family knows my dad, now 92 years old, and he stops over at the auction hall and wants to go to his favorite restaurant in Woodstock, the Chop Suey Hut. So I had to take him out for a bite to eat, and the restaurant wasn't open up yet. We were 10 minutes early, and he always has to be first, of course. So we walk around the square, and I see a shop that I just can't believe. I'm looking in this shop, and I'm drooling over all this great merchandise I'm seeing in there, but it's closed. It's not open. And so I ended up going back there several times, and it's never open. Contacted the owner only to find out that he has decided not to open the store, even though we set it up, and it's a beautiful, beautiful collection. He elected to not open the shop, and we struck a bargain, and we are now auctioning off this great collection. But what's the chances?
I know, right?
We're walking around the square, and we ended up with an auction.
Tell us a little bit about what was in the store that you saw.
Well, the first thing that intrigued me was hanging on the wall was this flag remnant. Mm-hmm. I'm all about the American flag. I love the flag, what it stands for, and everything about it. But what really I love are flags that have history attached to them, and battle flags are just phenomenal. So here I find this fragment, and then all this great artwork and pottery and saddles. I mean, there's silver-studded saddles, and there are some firearms. It was just a great, great collection. This gentleman's aunt was a big-time collector, and she passed, mm-hmm. and so he's challenged to sell off her collection. He was going to do it in the form of a store, and then elected that wasn't the way he wanted to go, and we ended up taking it for auction. So it's on our website right now.
It's on our website, DonnellyAuctions.com. Check it out. Go to the Old West and Native American button. It'll take you to the online catalog, and you can peruse through there and see all the magnificent items coming up for auction on January 28th.
It's funny because when people know you're having an auction, they so many times say to me, I wish I would have known that. I would have had items to put in. And they think that that's the only auction like that we'll ever do.
Right.
So
there'll be more.
Please don't feel that way. If you have items that fit into any one of our auctions, we repeat our themes constantly. So if you see items similar to what you have on our website, and you say you think you're too late, wrong. Call us, write us, contact us through the website, whatever you need to do. But we'll always find the avenue for you, and we'll find the right auction to put your items in.
Right now, we hold auctions once a month. We're increasing that by doing some online-only auctions, which this one is. It's online only. We're going to set up preview by appointment only. So if anybody's in the area wants to come out and check out the Woodstock Gallery to see what they have there, we'll be happy to set up an appointment for you. But we also do auctions once a month, and everything is kind of themed. towards specific collections. Give us a little bit of insight, Randy, on what we have coming up in the next couple months.
Oh, gosh, you know better than I do.
Yes, I do.
You
want me to take
trying
this
to give
part?
me some
I'll do
airtime
this
here,
part.
but go ahead.
Let me take over right here.
Susan's our business manager. She runs the company. I go find merchandise, and I'm the grunt who pulls stuff out of attics and basements and garages.
And we take it from there, and then you're out of it.
And Susan runs it, I'll tell you.
But Randy does have expertise in many fields, so when we need items described, evaluated, what's it's worth, he's the man. And we have some staff on board with us now who have some very special skills and knowledge in certain areas. Like one we were going to talk about later on are the sportsman items.
Gosh,
yeah. Sports groups.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I would have forgotten. See, there you go. We want to talk about if you've got sporting memorabilia, autographs or baseball cards or uniform parts, anything in the sports field. We do have an expert who is now with us full time who can evaluate your items, evaluate your collections. Of course, we'd like to sell your collection for you. But I keep saying this, you don't have to worry about being pressured to sell. If you need information, if you need help, if you want to find out if items, in our opinion, is authentic or not, we're here for you. That's what we do. That's what Donnelly Auctions is all about. We're here to help. We really are. Yes, it's a business. Yes, I need to make money, but the fact is, I'm also very giving and free with my information. I'm not one of these guys that's not going to tell you what I believe about your items if you're not consigning with us. That's just not the case.
Right. I was just going to mention our next guest coming up, too. Al Morehouse is coming up. We want to talk to Al because he has a very eclectic collection and taste in antiques and items like that. But what I wanted to focus on was just because we don't have like a sports card auction coming up, we'll get a foundation, get a collection, and we'll just build it from there. So even though we don't have anything on the calendar for certain categories, that's what I wanted to focus on. We'll make one. We will set up an auction specifically for your collection, and we'll just work from there and build it and set up a time that works for you as well. So keep that in mind. We have a lot of auctions coming up. We're looking for some very unique and eclectic items. And Al Morehouse, our guest today, he'll be coming up in our next segment. Oh, boy, I can't wait to hear what Al has to say. He is a collector of many things and a buyer and a seller with us. So that'll be interesting to hear his experience with auctions as well. So, Randy, one of the other things that we want to mention, too, again, we always talk about consigning. That's a word we toss around every day. What does that mean, consign? We want to keep it simple, a term that we use every day. You want to simplify it for our listeners?
Well, I do. Yes, we've talked about this constantly, and that is we just assume people know how to go about this, or even auctions. Susan, I was just to I'll talk about consigning in a minute, but we were just to a charity auction I was doing the other day. Mm-hmm. And I started the bidding at $2,000. The gentleman raised his hand and he said, I'll take it. And I said, okay, who will give me $2,500? He said, no, I'll take it.
Wait, stop. I already said I was going to buy it.
He didn't understand we're at an auction. People don't necessarily know how an auction works. Mm-hmm. We assume everybody knows all there is to know about auctions. And it's very simple. We keep raising the price to the highest bidder, and you only win when you're the last bidder standing. Good
to know.
But consigning simply means that you have decided that you want to sell at auction. When we consign, we write a contract with you that we agree what the percentage is that we charge you to sell your item. For example, if you've got an item I'm just going to use a round number of $1,000. If you've got an item that's worth $1,000 or we sell it for $1,000, we will be charging a percentage of that as our commission. That's how we make money, is we charge a commission. So when you consign with us, you agree for us to sell your item, and you will be paying us a percentage of what that item sells.
Which is called a commission rate.
which is a commission rate.
Rate. And we discuss all of that on a case-by-case basis, depending on what you have, the value of the items, how many items you have. We'd like to talk to you in person about that so it's not confusing, because usually the commission rate includes all of the advertising, storage fees. It includes a lot of things in the services we provide, like your descriptions and your photography.
And pickup.
I mean, right.
So often pickup is a very, very critical point, depending on the size of the collection, where it's at. I mean, we've gone to Florida, California to pick up items. So to include transportation and shipping and all that in your commission rate is a big deal.
Again, we just try to keep it simple. We don't want to overwhelm you. And our next guest, Al Morehouse, has experienced all of that with us here at Donnelly Auctions. Stay tuned and come right back to us here on the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
They've been called auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, even veterans of vintage. And they can introduce themselves. Thanks for listening. This is the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back. I'm Susan, and this is Randy Donnelly. We're with Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, and we have a very interesting guest coming up next here with us. His name is Al Morehouse. He is the founder and chairman of IW Technology, probably for the last 49 years, right, Al? How are you?
Basically, yes.
Well, thanks for joining us today. Al is a longtime client of ours. He is a buyer and seller, has very interesting taste in some eclectic items. We can't wait to hear all about your collecting background, Al, and your experience with Donnelly Auctions.
And you know what? I want to help before you jump in there. I do want to point out, too, beyond that, Al has become a really, really great friend of ours. And that's one thing that we notice time and time and time again. People start out working with us, as a business, maybe buying or selling through us and everything. And we really have developed some fabulous relationships. And, we literally become partners in so many of these fields. The minute you consign with us to sell, we are partners in this. So Al, tell us, how's the weather where you're at right now?
In
make
California.
us jealous.
Yep, he's in California.
Illinois. It's the weather is, it's really great. It's more golfing weather than pool weather.
Well, good. Glad to hear you're out on the course.
Yeah. So, but we love the desert, and we moved out here. We spend 6 months of the year here, and we've been here for 17 years, I guess. So,
and I understand real quick too that we are supplying your home there in beautiful California with auctions that you have purchased from us. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, good.
But Al, what really intrigues me is your business is built around the point of sales, cash registers and everything, which actually you're the world's largest at what you do as far as selling point of sales equipment. But you, over the years, had developed one of the best collections of antique cash registers. Is that not correct?
That's correct. I mean, through the years, and as I say, almost 50 years, I've had a number of collections, cash register collections that, I've bought and sold. I mean, these things, they just sit around and you get tired of them and you get on to something else. And but I've had kind of all the important ones that there are to have out there, the ones that had, unusual configurations. And but it's I still have a number of them that were refurbished by dear friends of mine that are no longer with us. But so I still have at the entrance of our, it's appropriate for us to have registers since that's the business that I'm in. I mean, point of sale is the extension of the electromechanical age or even the mechanical age. And so I've enjoyed doing that. So I still have it. I'm not that active in that part of it anymore. But we've had this conversation, Randy. I've said to you many times that just when you get older and I'm trying to back away from my business and really basically guide my son, who is running it right now and doing a great job. And I'm there as a backstop. So
you brought up a very interesting point just a minute ago, saying you get tired. When you're collecting, you can get tired of a hobby. There's so many reasons that people sell. It's people automatically think when they put things in auction that there's a death in the family or there's a financial crisis or need or anything, and that's not the case. You just brought up that point. As collectors, at some point, we've bought it all, we've looked at it, we've enjoyed it, but at some point, it's time to sell. We just get tired of it. Isn't that pretty much what happened with your major cash register collection?
Well, it not only that, but I did have probably one of the foremost bobbin head collection, which were the original bobbin heads that were made in Japan, in the early 1960s. Like right around 1960. And I had every one. So after you display them and you see them, and then, you kind of lose interest because you've had it for so long. And I ended up selling that collection. And I started right after that, collecting other things. And, I think you either have it in your blood. I think people, the items are going to change going forward.
Right.
But,
didn't you start your collecting interest with stamps? Didn't you start with stamps when you were a teenager?
That's right. I did. And you know what? But it's like, that almost became a business for me. Within a period of almost a year, I became like the top dealer of stamps. And because, I always have to have a source when you're collecting things. And I had the best source. But you learn so much from collecting, and I've tried to get my kids involved in that. And I think you either are a collector or you're not. I don't think it's something that you can go and learn about. Okay, you either love to look back at the nostalgia of yesteryear and say, "Wow, that's the way it was, and this is the way it is now." So I think that, and that's why I do it. I get interested in so many things. I'm just.
Right. Is there anything in particular you're looking for these days that we can help you, keep an eye out for?
No, not really. Like my life has almost been this way. I have a kind of a major plan, but not a specific plan I just noticed that things that I'm interested in, do I want to get involved with them? Is it worthwhile? And, Randy knows I've been looking for something to do like that. And I just haven't found the right thing as yet. But I've had three major collections. As I say, the cash registers are one, the bobbin heads were another, and then 1/8 model cars or transportation vehicles and I was really, really interested in that stuff. So, and I just haven't found a new thing. I love art, so I do collect glass art, and but it's more, more modern and more up to date. And one day it'll be, something that may be auctioned off somewhere. I'm not going to sell it in my lifetime, but
we did, as a matter of fact, we did sell off your model car collection for you, or the majority of it.
That's exactly right. Yes, you did.
Which brings up, I love your office. You were in the last year or so, you were building a complete new office, moving into a whole new, unbelievable building. And as you were building the office, you actually came to one of our auctions and ended up buying a fabulous bar and back bar that the original plan was to put it in the office.
Right.
And then as it unfolded, you decided that wasn't necessarily what you wanted in the office, correct?
Yeah, right. No, it was. It's like, is it appropriate or is it not? I mean, many years ago it probably would have been appropriate. I don't think today it is appropriate in a business environment. You know, I don't want to have people, we don't get customers that come and see us. We do most of our stuff, you know, on the computer, on the phone, you know.
But I bring that up for this reason. So here you in less than a year, you buy it, you make a decision that's not for me, and when you sold it, again through us at actually a substantial profit. And the reason that I want to bring that up is because we keep telling people, you know, antiques are down and everything else. But I have to say this. When you're buying the best of the best, there's still a market for good items, great items. And so as people want to invest today, if they're buying good items, there's still a potential for profit.
Well, that's true. I mean, really. I mean, that's basically, I remember when I first got involved in collecting things, my son wanted to collect cards, and I never really wanted to collect cards, and that's when I started collecting the bobbin heads. But at that time, a perfectly rated 1952 Mickey Mantle Topps card was selling for $72,000.
Well, hold that thought for a minute there, Al, because we'll talk about that when we come back after this segment.
Stay with us. Susan and Randy with Donley Auctions. We're on AM 560. The Answer. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560. The Answer.
We're back with the Donley Auctions Hour. This is Susan and Randy Donley with Donley Auctions. Al, I cannot wait to hear more about the Mickey Mantle Pops card. Can you tell us what happened with that?
Yeah, well, I was taking my son, who at the time was 10, to all these shows and things, and there used to be a book that came out that gave you current values, and there were a lot of books at that time because collecting at that level was more popular than it is apparently now. But anyway, that card I could have bought for $72,000. That card just sold, I would say, 90 days ago for $2.8 million.
Oh.
So if you collect the best, you know, I mean, that's 4,000% profit. I mean, it's like, it's incredible what you know can happen. And I think everyone in the back of their mind is always waiting to buy a lamp and find out that it's a Tiffany or something like that. And whether it is or isn't, it doesn't really matter. It's just it's in the search, it's in the find, it's the enjoyment of, you know, learning all the stuff about all this stuff. So.
And that's what I love about Al. He'll come driving up to the auction house. Here comes Al. He'll walk in. What you got today, Donley? I want to do some shopping. So Al comes in and looks around and get to see what he's got a taste for today. But, you know, as a longtime, you know, friend and buyer and seller with us, Al, we'd love to hear about your experience working with us on that professional side.
Yeah. Well, do you find it easy? Do you find it easy to deal through the auction process?
I do.
He said, I do. So, I mean, as a partner in the business with you, we want our listeners to know, you know, you're fairly new buying and selling with us, but you keep coming back. That's a good sign. And we want to keep it simple for you because you have a lot on your plate. That's for sure. So explain a little bit about how easy the process is.
Well, it is easy. I mean, first of all, when you deal with someone, you have to really trust them. You have to really, I mean, who knows what goes on when you're not around. And I've never felt that way in dealing, you know, with Randy at any moment of our relationship. And so that's been a good experience, and it's made my experience. And I have sent a lot of people there, and they've had the same experience. So I think that that's really important. It's critical in a business that sometimes has been tainted by bad stories, which, you know, a lot of businesses do get that way. But certainly Randy's treated me fairly all the way through all our dealings, and I feel comfortable, and I respect, his opinion on things and what the value he thinks it is, and then I go from there. You can't know everything about everything. I certainly don't, but Randy gets involved with so many people and so many venues, and I think the most important thing is trust. I just trust that I'm going to be treated fairly.
That's right. We're very strong advocates of honesty and integrity. That's for sure.
Right.
Al, we appreciate you saying that, and really appreciate your business and word of mouth. Sometimes that carries a heavier weight than advertising.
And right. This isn't meant to be a hug fest or anything, but seriously, Al.
It will be next time I see you.
We feel the same way. We feel the same way about customers and clients, and especially people like yourself who over the years become friends. We need to have that also. We need to feel that people we're doing business with that we can trust, and so on and so forth. And again, your company, everything about you and your company and what your family does is so well known. And again, we always use this word integrity. There's nobody in your line of work that does it better than IW Technology. And let's face it, you do business with the biggest of the big. When you're selling a cash register system, you're selling to all the major. I don't know if you can mention some names right now, but
no. Well, there isn't anyone that we do not deal with. Basically any large retailer I'm talking about, whether it be Target or JCPenney or Home Depot. We deal with the manufacturers. When I started this business, I really started the industry, and a lot of guys that are my competitors now have worked for me and then gone off on their own, and I understand that. I understand that process. But one thing that I always emphasized when they were working with me was that the only thing that's going to make them successful is their character. And for most of them, they never thought that. They thought it was just a business where you can make a lot of money by buying and selling things. Because our salesmen are not really salesmen, they're traders. But if you don't have that trust of the customer, you have nothing. No one will refer you or anything.
Goes back and forth for sure. We feel the same with you, Al. We appreciate your business and everything that you do for us, and hope to see you for lunch sometime soon. Well,
yeah, Al, we're out of time right now with this segment, but we'd like to have you come back at another time and talk more.
All right, good.
Al,
Thanks,
thank you very much. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. And coming up next, Randy and I are going to talk one more time about some auctions we have coming up. We're looking for some items. Maybe you have some in your basement. Stay tuned right here, the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
And now, more of the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560. The Answer.
Welcome back. I'm Susan, and I'm here with Randy Donnelly. We're partners with Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois. This is the Donnelly Auctions Hour. We are on the radio every Saturday at 1 o'clock. Can you believe that? On AM 560. It's going to be fun. So we're going to talk about, first of all, thank you, Al Morehouse, for giving your perspective as a buyer and a seller. But he did buy something very interesting. You want to continue on with that little tidbit, Randy?
Al is really an eclectic buyer. And this is interesting, too, because Al has mentioned to me before, buy what you like. We just talked about buying expensive and, you can't go wrong. It's more important to buy what you like so that you can never go wrong. If you like it and you enjoy it, you're going to have fun with it. You can't go wrong. But one thing that Al bought was this big, huge bar and back bar, a saloon back bar. And I bring that up again because I don't know that most people realize that one of the things that we started with years and years ago was antique architecture. Mm-hmm. Architecture is probably, in my blood. I mean, we've sold terracotta off the fronts of buildings. We've sold huge chandeliers, all these big pieces. And I know you get mad at me all the time because you keep saying, stop with the big, heavy stuff.
Oh, yeah. I was going to name our company Big Heavy Auctions.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you were going to say.
Yeah.
Companies like the Medina Temple years ago, we sold that to the Bones, and that later became a department store on Ohio and Wabash. But, if you have things, you really need to call us because who knows what we can sell for you. And another thing to note is you might also know where there are things, and we can also pay finder's fees, Susan.
Oh, yes.
That's very important because, one thing we want to point out is we have to be very careful that we can never pay somebody a percentage of the commission. That's against the law. You just can't do it. The only way I could pay a commission for somebody is to another auction house. Mm-hmm. Can't do it. So we respect the law, but we can pay finder's fees. And we do. We pay generous finder's fees if you locate a great collection for us, or
a bar or a back bar even. We'll come yank it out of a tavern any day.
There's so many around the saloons. There were so many saloons in the Chicago at the turn of the century, and there's so many of those bars that still exist that because they were so huge, I mean, people didn't rip them out of the buildings, and they're still around. So a lot of money to be had in antique architecture. And it's one of the things that we do, especially in our April and November auctions. It's always our architectural time. But, when I say we also pay commissions, I just want to remind people all the time that when we take your items for sale, we really become partners because we need to get you the most money so that we can make more on our commissions also. We are very, very motivated to get you the best money. And a woman just called me and she said, Randy, I don't see when my trains are going up. She said, I thought they would have sold by now. And it wasn't that I was holding them for any reason other than I wanted to make sure they went in the right auction. Sometimes auction houses just sell the stuff mamby-pamby and just put it in any auction, whereas we really try to put it in the right auction because we want to get you the most money for your items.
That's right. And, that brings up another point of some auctions coming up. We need to mention in March, antique phonographs and music boxes. Wow. We have a great collection from Florida, I believe, that is going up. But we also had some radios. And they were asking, well, why can't we do the radio separate? Well, it is actually a good fit in our March auction with the antique phonographs. So we have phonographs and radios coming up in March.
Well, it is. We have multiple collections going in this particular auction. What is it? It's in March.
It's in March.
In March. A date yet to be determined, but it'll be in March. So if you have anything in antique phonographs, music boxes, radios, Nickelodeons, music, and we're not just talking about the items themselves. What about the advertising? Any big signs? Here we go to architecture again. Some of the big signs that hung on the fronts of buildings and these type of things can be exceedingly expensive. You just never know what an item is worth.
That's right. So if you do have something, even if you think it, you don't know if it's something good for auction, give us a call. We'll tell you. Again, honesty and integrity is what we're all about. Donley Auctions, DonleyAuctions.com. Phone number is 815-923-7000. I'll be answering the phone today between 1 and 2. Give me a call. We'll see what you have. And Randy and I will let you know what the next steps are going to be.
Yeah, and I do want to point out, especially on music, we say some things are hot, some things are not. And unfortunately, music right now, I mean, the garden variety collections of phonographs and radios and everything, they're not holding. This is an item that we have been selling, and people don't want, me saying the sky is falling, and I'm not. But it's not an item that we see consistently going up. It's either stagnant or dropping a little. So certain areas like this, we recommend selling at this time.
That's right. And did you know the Donnelly family are the original founders of the Antique Phonograph Show? We'll talk about that coming up next on the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
The Donnelly Auctions Hour continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donnelly Auctions Hour. I'm Susan, here with my co-host and partner, Randy Donnelly of Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois. We're just 60 miles west of Chicago. Come out and see us. We have some auctions coming up. We were just talking in the last segment, Randy, about specific items we're looking for auction. Most people probably have them somewhere or know someone who has it, and the steps you can take and how easy it is to put them in an auction.
Well, you also mentioned, that we've got the phonograph auction coming up.
Right.
And I did want to point out that, we've been the hosts of the Antique Phonograph Show for 40-some years.
The original founding members. Yeah.
We created the Antique Phonograph Show, so we are experts in the field. We are absolute experts. My father collected phonographs for 60 years and so on. So phonographs, music boxes, radios.
We even have an expert on staff who knows musical instruments and equipment, turntables.
And more modern technology, turntables and so on. Yep.
Yeah, so we have a lot of that vintage stuff is going very well. We just held that Beatles auction with lots and lots of record albums.
And to that point, when we keep saying collecting is changing, it definitely is, because there are probably more people collecting early technology of turntables and speakers and electronics than there are collecting the old hand crank phonographs. And that's why I say now's the time to sell hand crank, and now's also the time to invest in purchasing early electronics, because it really is what's hot right now in the music.
That's right. And there's a lot of ways to do that, to get in touch with us at DonnellyAuctions.com. Give us a call at 815-923-7000. We'll tell you what to do next, and whether it's something you should put in auction or just hang on to it, keep it in the family. We'll be honest, we promise. What else is coming up, Randy? What do you want to talk about here in our last episode?
Well, you get mad at my stories all the time, I know.
No, I don't.
But
I love your stories.
One thing I wanted to point out is how we find stuff. You just never know. A quick story. My brother and I are sitting at a Subway in Chicago. My brother's looking across the street, and he keeps saying, Randy, what do you see? And I said, I'm missing it, Mike. And he said, look at the bolt holes on that building. I said, bolt holes? We go across the street to this bank building, which is still a bank, and ask them whatever happened to the corner clock from those bolt holes. And they actually had it still in storage. My brother's looking at bolt holes on a building, and we go and we ask whatever happened to the clock. They still had it, and they didn't want to auction it. We ended up buying that clock. And so you never know. You just never know how you're going to find stuff. It comes to us in the strangest of ways.
Right.
And
we sell everything from bobbleheads to firearms to clocks off of buildings. So you never know with Donnelly Auctions.
And my point in bringing that up is sometimes people don't necessarily want to auction. If you want to sell also, we do buy. We recommend all the time that you sell at auction. We believe you'll get more at auction than selling, whether it's to us or other sources. In most cases, you're going to get way more at an auction than selling. Selling direct is sometimes short-sighted.
That's right. So be sure to check our website for upcoming auctions. Next week, I think we're going to talk more about specific items we're looking for that you may have, so we can give you the value of this, like you talked about with this helmet today. We're going to come up with some more items, see if you have it in your home. and we'll tell you where to go from there. DonnellyAuctions.com, 815-923-7000. We're on AM 560 every Saturday at 1 o'clock. The Answer. I'm Susan.
And I'm Randy Donnelly. And we'll see you at the auction.
Thanks for listening to the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. Check out all the latest information on upcoming auctions and collectibles at DonnellyAuctions.com. And while you're there, you can contact someone about buying or selling your collectibles or estates. That's DonnellyAuctions.com.